Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby. I'm glad you're all here. So in this video, I wanted to try and do the Booktube Newbie Tag since I am new to Booktube. So let's get into it. So the first one is, why did you start this channel? So this is a little bit of a long story about why I wanted to start a Booktube channel. It kind of goes back to last year. I had my daughter last year. She's currently 7 months old. I love her to pieces. I love being a mom, but after I went back to work full-time from being on maternity leave, I had a little bit of postpartum depression. I just kind of found myself hating going to work all the time. I felt like I wasn't being a good mother because I never spent any time with my daughter. I felt like all of my time was devoted to going to work and I didn't even want to be there. The only thing that brought me joy was being with my daughter and reading. So I kind of found myself saying, why am I spending so much time? I'm spending 40 hours out of my week doing something that I don't enjoy. So I wanted to try to find something that did bring joy back into my life. I wanted to find something that could potentially lead to me spending more time with my daughter. So that's kind of why I thought maybe doing a YouTube channel. I know not now, but I kind of hope maybe eventually I might be able to start making some money off of doing YouTube and maybe some other things here and there, so that I could potentially go part-time with my job and be able to spend more time with my daughter. I know, realistically that's not going to happen for a while, and I need to have a full-time job just to be able to afford to have a house over my head and put food on the table and enjoy, buy things for my daughter, buy toys and clothes, but then also to help feed my book buying addiction. But yeah, so that's kind of why I thought about starting a Booktube channel. Also, I threw some ideas around with my husband about what kind of YouTube channel I would want to do, and I thought a Booktube would be really good, just because, like I said, I love reading. Reading and books were the only other thing that brought me joy in my life when I was feeling really depressed, and I wanted something that was outside of my realm of my job. So my job, I work at a hospital, I am a dietitian. So while I think I would do really well making nutrition videos or cooking videos or something in that realm, and I might do that eventually, but for now I wanted something that was totally different, that was just for me, something that I don't deal with day in and day out, which, it's just something that's a hobby, and that would be reading, Booktube. Okay, so kind of a long answer, but question number 2, what are some fun, unique things you can bring to Booktube? This is kind of a hard question because I feel like I'm kind of a boring person. I'm a bit of a homebody. I don't really go out and do things. But what I think I can kind of bring to Booktube, like I said, I am a dietitian, so I'm hoping that I can incorporate food in some way into some of my videos. I've been playing around with ideas of how I can incorporate food along with books, so I might do something with that eventually, down the road. I like being creative. I started a book bullet journal last year, and that was another way that kind of helped me with my depression a little bit. just by making my own like little bullet journals and drawing and being creative. It kind of helped release like stress and help me relax a little bit. And it was just nice. So I think that would be also something that's kind of unique that I can bring. It's just my bullet journal ideas. Question number 3. What are you most excited for in this new channel? So I'm honestly just excited to talk about books, and I'm excited to meet people and make friends with new people that also like to talk about books, which I'm pretty sure is everybody's answer for this question. So I'm, not new in that regard. Question number 4. Why do you love reading? Again, I think this is going to be the same answer that everybody says. Why do they love reading? Because it's an escape. I love delving into new worlds. I like not thinking about everyday life. I like that I just like stories in general. I like learning about characters and seeing their growth, seeing their strengths and their faults, and I root for them. I love stories. I love it. I always have. Question number 5. What book or series got you into reading? So I think this is going to be the same for a lot of people. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about this book series anymore because of a lot of controversy that's happened. But the book that basically started it all, I mean, I've always been a reader. I've always read books, but the one book series that I can remember that just launched me into being a book lover and reading so much is the Harry Potter series. So it saddens me, all of the new stuff that's come about with the author, and it really also saddens me that a lot of booktubers feel like they can't talk about the Harry Potter series anymore, just because they don't want to give support to J.K. Rowling anymore. And while I totally understand that, it breaks my heart, because the Harry Potter series is one of my all-time favorite series. It always will be one of my all-time favorite series. And while I understand people not wanting to support that series anymore because they don't want to support J.K. Rowling, I am somebody that I will continue to read that series over and over. I haven't for a while just because there's so many new books that I want to read. I don't have time to go back and reread things, but I mean, I named my daughter after one of the characters from the series. I bought decorations that are Harry Potter for her bedroom. I plan to read the Harry Potter series to my daughter, and while I don't agree with the author, I think she's terrible. What I learned from that series, I learned about love and acceptance and friendship, and while that's something that another thing why I really enjoy reading and reading books is that everybody has their own interpretation of what they read. So while J.K. Rowling's interpretation of what she wrote may be different and may not include people of diverse populations, and may not include trans people, my version, my interpretation, what I learned growing up reading those books is that you love and accept all people, no matter who they are, what kind of background they come from, what race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, it doesn't matter. You love and accept everyone. So that's why I love the series. Like I said, the author may have thought differently, but that was my interpretation of reading those books. and that is what I'm going to choose to teach my daughter when I read those books to her. So yeah, sorry for the rant on that one. It's something that bothers me. I probably won't really ever talk about Harry Potter too much anymore on this channel, just because, like I said, there's so many other books that I want to read and talk about. But yeah, and then again, this is a really long answer to this question, but another series that really got me into reading, which I know gets another book series that gets a lot of crap, is Twilight. I read that series, you know, the book Twilight, when it first came out, and I was a die-hard fan of that book and that book series. And while I have a lot of problems with it now, looking back at it, when it first came out, I'm pretty sure I read Twilight at least a dozen times. I loved it. I think it helped spark a little bit my interest in romance books. Not just like fantasy and other genres of books, but specifically romance. So I owe a lot to that. And then I had another answer for this question. So what sparked my interest along with Twilight, but what sparked my interest for more romance-based books, was I read this paranormal romance book series when I was in high school. It is the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series, and I haven't finished that series because I'm terrible at finishing series. I got pretty far in it. I think I got into like book 10 or so, something like that. And it's a book that my mom bought me because it had vampires in it, and she knew I liked, you know, fantasy, paranormal type things. I don't think when she bought it, she realized that it was an adult book, or that it would have adult romantic scenes and themes to it. So that's how I found out about, you know, what happens during sex for the first time. So, but that really honestly sparked going into more adult type books, and adult romance was that book series. So, okay, moving on. Let's see here. Number 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? So, I don't really have too many questions that I would want to ask. The only thing that I can think of is like, would you be my best friend? Like, all of my favorite booktubers that I watch, I just want to be best friends with them. I think they're great. I want to bounce book ideas and book recommendations off each other, and I just want to be friends with everybody. I think they're great. Question number 7. So what challenges do you think, sorry, I can't read my handwriting. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel with will be the hardest to overcome? I think probably consistency will be hard to overcome, and then also just finding time to film videos. Right now I'm currently filming at night after I've just put my daughter to bed. So that's going to be a challenge. Like I said, I work full-time. I am also a mother of a young child. Like I said, she's 7 months old. So I have to devote a lot of time to that. Also, my husband's currently at work too. I feel like it's going to be awkward at first trying to find time to film with him being home whenever he is home. I think I would prefer like how I'm doing right now, where he's gone and at work and my daughter's asleep. So if I'm kind of like feel weird about talking to myself, it's fine because nobody else is here, but I'm sure I'll get over that, you know, the more that I do this. So, and then also keeping up with it. I have a problem, or I tend to have a problem of starting projects or saying I'm going to do something and then it never happens, or I just don't keep up with it. So here's hoping that I can keep up with this and that I continue to enjoy doing it. Question number 8. When did you start reading? So I have no idea when I started reading. I feel like as far as I can remember, I've always liked reading. I do remember very specifically when I was really young. I think I was in like preschool. I know it was before kindergarten. I remember watching like cartoons on like Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or something, and there was an advertisement for this, like, I don't know if it was a learning program or like book series, something that you could, you know, call and order and buy this program to teach your child how to read. And I remember begging my mom to buy this because I wanted to know how to read. And she would always refuse to do this because she's like, oh, when you start school, they'll teach you how to read and it'll be fine. And I'm like, but Mom, I want to know how to read now. So, like I said, I've always loved reading. I don't really remember too much my parents reading stories to me, but I do remember having books. My mom tells me, you know, stories about how, I don't know if it's my mom or my dad, one of my parents would always tell me stories about how they would find me in the morning after, you know, sleeping all night, and I would just have, where I got up in the middle of the night grabbing books off of my bookshelf, and I would just have this pile of books around me in my bed because I would look at the pictures and I would make up stories to myself, reading books to myself at night. My grandparents read me stories, so I've always wanted to read, and once I started reading, just haven't stopped. Question number 9, where do you read? Honestly, I read literally everywhere. My favorite places where I read the most is going to be either in bed or on my couch in my living room. But I read, most of the books I read off of my Kindle app or my Nook app sometimes, on my phone. It's just the easiest way for me to consume books. I do read physical books though too. It's just not as often anymore. So that being said, because I have my phone and I always have my phone on me everywhere I go, I read everywhere. I read in my car, and that's another thing where I started is doing audiobooks. I'll listen to audiobooks on my way to and from work or just anywhere when I'm driving. I read on break at work. I will read sometimes in my kitchen. I'll have my phone with me if I'm just like, you know, cooking like pasta and waiting for the water to boil. I'll read during that. I read everywhere, anywhere that I can. Oh, and then, you know, if any of my friends are watching this, so, you know, if you ever get together with like a group of friends and there's kind of like a lull in the conversation and people start getting out their phones and just kind of like going through like social media apps or whatnot, which I do that as well. But most of the time in those periods where people are like getting out their phones, I will have my phone out and I will be reading. Okay, so then last question, number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I read all kinds of books, literally all kinds. I would say the majority of the books that I read, at least 75% of what I read, is in the romance genre of some capacity. But I also like to read a lot of fantasy books. I will delve sometimes into science fiction. I'll do a little bit of contemporary. some YA. I've noticed I'm starting to get out of that a little bit. I will still read some of it, but mostly adult. Honestly, if it has an interesting story to me, or it's recommended to me by somebody that they think that I'll like that book, no matter what genre it is, I'm probably gonna read it. So, alright, so that was the Booktube Newbie Tag. Thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see more of you soon with whatever videos I end up putting out. Thanks!